Hello and welcome to the award-winning Tough Girl podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Williams. Today, I'm thrilled to announce a special collaboration with Innovate, a world-renowned and ambitious sportswear pioneer. Innovate will be sponsoring the Tough Girl podcast throughout the month of June, with new episodes going live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. UK time. Innovate is a UK-based company, and it is their mission to empower the world's physical and mental fitness through more fulfilling sporting experiences. I've been wearing Innovate trainers and sportswear since 2019 on all my adventures and challenges around the world. Most recently over in New Zealand while I walked the Tiara Trail, and in Spain when I was on the Camino Viva de la Plata. With Innovate's support, I'm able to continue showcasing incredible female role models who take on adventures and physical challenges. Stay tuned for an incredible episode filled with stories, insights, top tips and advice to motivate and inspire you. To find out more about Innovate, visit the Tough Girl website or search Innovate Sportswear online. You can also use the discount code ToughGirl15, ToughGirl15 to get 15% off your next order.
Hey there, Sarah. It's great to be on the Tough Girl podcast. Again, I was here a few years ago. My name is Kelly Smith. I'm now the founder of the Black Tri Tribe, which is a triathlon club for people of colour specifically, for Black people specifically, and I live in Brighton.
Do you know what? I was, before you even started, we were sort of like thinking back to, gosh, when did we first speak? And so the episode came out on February 24th, 2022, where you shared more about, your passion for your outdoors. You shared more about how your childhood adventure grew into teenage curiosity and how you use sort of exercise as a form of sort of adult stress relief, basically. Which fantastic episode. Everyone, please go back and listen to it. But I just want to jump straight back in to take us back to 2022. What were you up to? What was happening? Tell us more about what was going on in your life at that point in time.
It's so interesting. It feels like yesterday, but it also feels like 100 years ago, all at the same time. So back when we recorded, not much has actually changed. I think the only thing that's changed is that I have started a whole triathlon club. So quite a lot has changed, but not a lot at the very same time. I know it might sound a bit bizarre. So last time I was here, we spoke about how I was really active as a child and I used to do all these different things. And what I didn't talk about before was I often did triathlons, and it was something that I did on a personal level just for me. I'd maybe at that point, I'd only maybe done 2 or 3 triathlons at that point. It was something I didn't really post on Instagram. It was mainly about like my hiking and my cycling and sometimes my swimming, and that was about it. Triathlon was something I definitely kept for myself. And then I moved from one hiking group and I then started doing other things and really cool things. I spent a whole year doing really, really interesting things. I was hiking, I was paddleboarding, I was swimming more, I was outdoor swimming more. It was just, I was having the best time. And then a few people started asking me about Tri. And they said, oh, I saw you did something a little while ago, but you don't really talk about it and you don't really say how you got into it. But I see that you do this thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, every once in a while. And they were like, what's it called? And I was like, oh, what, the triathlon thing? And they were like, yeah, I've never heard of that, or I've never done that, or I've seen it and I wanted to be a part of it. So a few of us went down and we attended another local event, and I had a great time. I'd been to that particular organizers' events in the past. And then I said, oh, that's wonderful. Why don't we do it again? And then as soon as the event finished, I found out not everybody had a great experience. A few people got lost. A few people, had a really lasting negative time. And I just thought, that I don't want that to ever happen. And I took it quite personally, because I encourage people to come along. I encourage people to take part. I said, I never want that to happen to anyone else ever again. So I started the Black Tri Tribe actually in October of 2022. I think it was in September of 2022. We put out our first survey, and then we went from a survey to sort of find out what people wanted. I wanted to know what was missing, because as I discussed in the previous podcast, I am very well versed with the community. I'm very well versed with like all the different hiking clubs, cycling clubs, swimming clubs. But I realized the wonderful thing about social media is once you're in an echo chamber, you see more of the same. I'm sure, Sarah, the same's for you. You must know a million cool outdoorsy women, and people must be thinking, I don't know one woman that swims or cycles or so. Yeah, I knew all these things. And so I thought, what is different? What isn't in the industry? So that first piece of qualitative data, I had just over 60 participants, and that gave me a really good idea for what people thought was realistic, what was manageable, what was attainable. Also, what were the barriers? What were the challenges? What did people find difficult? Or what was putting people off having never done one before? What was making them apprehensive? And I got all that data, I got all that research, but I also collected qualitative data. So I did lots of phone conversations in the form of interviews, finding out how people were doing, what people were doing. And the answers were around mainly, should I say, inclusion. People didn't want to be the only one. And I thought that's never something I've come across, as I mentioned in the last podcast. I grew up doing all of these things. These things were very accessible to me, and I found that I was in the minority. So the Black Tribe is just that. It's a collection, it's a group, it's a community of people that enjoy doing swimming, cycling, walking, hiking, running all together. And we just a few weeks ago, by the time this comes out, had our second year of events, which would be our fourth event overall. We've had 2 triathlons, one in London, one in Brighton in 2023. We had a duathlon this year in March, and we had our Brighton triathlon this year in June of 2024. So yeah, it's been a great 2 years.
Incredible, because I love just how proactive you are in actually like, oh, okay, there's a problem here. Instead of just like almost thinking that you know what the solution is, you've gone out to actually do that research to find out, hold on, what do people want? What was missing? What are the barriers? What's the challenge? And actually figure this out. After you got all of that information, like, what were your next steps in terms of building up the Black Tribe and the Black Tri Club?
Oh, okay. What were the next steps? So the next thing was the typical thing. I made an Instagram page. After I made the survey, I wanted to try and get as many people to participate as possible because I wanted as many opinions as possible. What I then did with that information was really interesting. I find that lots of people collect data and don't listen to the data, which I find very, very interesting. I think, what's the point of collecting all this information? Why did you ask me my opinion if you're not going to listen? So one of the things that I'm big on is being receptive to feedback. And that's exactly what I did. So what came of that survey was actually finding out what distances people wanted to do and finding out what was realistic. So when I first made the Black Tribe, I wanted to put on a triathlon event that had a sprint distance and an Olympic distance. And I thought sprint was entry level. I thought that was attainable enough for people. Little did I know that was incredibly daunting. So out of the survey, we actually found that people didn't want to swim more than 100 meters. Actually, people didn't even want to swim, or people struggled to swim 25 meters. So 100 meters was just out of this world for a lot of people. So for me, that was the first step. Understanding and listening to the feedback that I was given. So we now have something called the BTT Special, which was made directly out of that survey. People said that they were comfortable swimming 100 meters. People that said, but it was a further enough push that it felt like a challenge, and they were comfortable enough cycling 10K. It was a push, but it was a challenge. And people actually said they didn't want to run. So I'm not a runner. I don't enjoy running. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's my least favorite discipline. Everyone has one. And I thought, well, why can't try include walking? So that's exactly what the BTT Special is. It's a swim, it's a bike, and it's a walk to encourage people just to enter it where you are, as you are. And that's what's important for us.
That is amazing, because I would make assumption. I would just assume that even if you haven't swam for a while, oh yeah, you could just hop in a pool and swim 100 meters without really thinking about it. But actually, and wow. But I suppose it comes back to what you said earlier about, sort of living in like an echo chamber. If you're surrounded by voices and people all the time. And I think I occasionally realize this with the podcast when I'm speaking to like ultra distance runners who are doing like training for 100-miler, and they're talking about, doing a short run of 30 miles. Like, just like, had you started to bring people together at that point? Were people doing meetups, and how was that going?
Yeah, so I actually never stopped doing walks. I stopped promoting walks, but I had like a core group of, I would say 20, 30 people that still wanted to walk with me. They still wanted to go on the adventures that I was doing. So that continued for the year that I sort of went quiet, and I was sort of refiguring out what I was going to do, how I was going to rebrand, and what I was going to do, I don't know, with my life, how I was going to shift and mold the Black Tri Tribe to be what I wanted it to be, and how was I going to make it serve the community. That was really important as well. So yeah, that echo chamber thing, we continued to walk. And then in terms of, do we meet as a community, meetups and things like that, it took me a whole, I would say year, but it wasn't actually a year. So I started the Black Tri Tribe in September, but it wasn't until the May, June before the triathlon that we started swimming. So I was doing only walking for quite a while until we started to introduce swimming. And then in the September after the London event is when we started to do cycling. So no, it was before the London event. I think it was just after the June triathlon. So after the Brighton triathlon, we added on swimming and we added on cycling in Brighton. And that was great. I mean, we had an absolute blast. But as you can imagine, it was just me. It was me leading all the walks, me doing all the admin, me doing all the swimming, doing all the cycling. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not very good at admin. I'm not very good at admin. So it was very disorganized. It was all a bit chaotic. And I didn't really ask for help. So I can't be critical that I didn't get help because everybody thought I had it in hand. I think the difficulty with, and I'm sure you'll find this amongst a lot of the people that you interview, you call it the Tough Girl podcast because people often think you are tough and that you are getting through it and you are, you're all these things, wonderful things, great achievements, but I there are areas in which I am very weak, and administration is one. So I actually didn't get a committee together until the June of 2023. And then I didn't actually get administration help until the November of 2023. So fairly recently. As for meetups, we went from 2 venues in 2 cities. So in June of 2022, we had swimming in London and Brighton. We had cycling in Brighton. We had walks in London and Brighton. By the time we got to September, we had 3 venues across 2 cities. By the time we got to January of 2024, I had 7 venues across 2 cities, walks every week. And we stopped cycling in the January just because it got too cold in Brighton and I had to drop something just because I was getting burnt out. In addition to that, we also had 2 triathlon events. So we had the June one in 2023. We had the September one in London in 2023. And then we also had panel discussions. So something that I found also out of that initial survey, that 2022 survey and the 2023 survey, was that people felt like they didn't have any community. And I don't mean community in the physical meetups. I mean, like, people didn't know where to get things from. People didn't know what gear to get. People didn't know the challenges behind, how do you get a membership at a gym? Like, how do you acquire one? Do you get them online? Do you have to go in person? Like, how does one go about those things? Where do you get swimming caps from? Where do you get swimming caps that are compatible for Afro hair? Where do you go and find women only swim sessions? Where do you buy a bike? Is Halfords the only place to buy a bike? And all these questions sort of came to the forefront for people. one of the other things is, how much do these things cost? Like, what is a rip-off? What is a good price? There were so many questions that people had, and they had nowhere to take these concerns of theirs, these questions of theirs. Now, obviously, you could say, oh, you could take it to Reddit, or you could take it to an online forum, or you could Google it, or nowadays you could ask ChatGPT, but it's not like having a human to hear from. So we then started doing panel discussions again in the May of 2023. We hosted our first panel in London about diversifying the sport of triathlon. We then held another panel around our annual event. We then a 1-year anniversary panel, and each panel has a collection of people. So it has an expert, so someone from a national governing body, usually British Triathlon, British Swimming, British Cycling, Swim England. Those are the types of organisations we've had on so far. We then have someone governmental, so someone from a council, someone from, for example, in Brighton, we had a member of the Healthy Lifestyles team, or in Greenwich, it's called their public health team. We've also had contributions from our active partnership, Active Sussex. And then we've also had like counsellors. So we've had the Labour leader for Equalities, Race and Faith, I think it is. We've also had the counsellor for Tower Hamlets for sport. But yeah, having all these varied opinions on various panels across the last 2 years has been amazing to get insights on what the landscape looks like in sport, what the landscape looks like in physical activity, and also answering people's questions on why things are the way they are.
Are you still working a full-time job, or is this your full-time job now?
Oh no, I still work full-time.
Oh my God. Wow. This is, like, I know you said you don't like the admin, but just thinking that's a huge amount of admin, and like that is a lot to have on your plate. So how are you finding it sort of fitting in your own exercise and training? Like do you have a life? Are you just awake at like 5 a.m. and working till super late at night? How are you fitting everything in? How are you not burning out?
I love that, Sarah. I do like your interview styling. You can cut that out if you want.
I'll leave that
in. The truth of the matter is, and I know, Sarah, you follow me, I don't sleep. Everyone likes to think that things are just glamorous and things just happen. The truth is, things don't happen. They take a lot of hard work. I don't sleep. Today, I have an Apple Watch. Today, I got a lovely message saying, well done, you met your sleep goal of 6 hours. So yeah, I seldom sleep longer than 4 hours. I haven't trained in at least 2 years properly. I have gained about 4 to 5 stone in the last 2 years since I started the Black Tri Tribe. I have stopped dating, which is never fun to hear. Yeah, it's not been as glamorous as people think it is. People think things just happen, and they don't. And I really appreciate you for asking the really difficult or practical question, actually, of just how do you do it? There's no miracle. There's no, oh, it just poof, magic dragon, and it happened. No, it doesn't. It takes hard work. It takes consistency. It takes a lot of admin, and it takes determination. So yeah, you are 100% correct. Do I have a life? The answer is no. I don't have a life. Black Tri Tribe has become my life. And yes, I still do work full time because I have rent, and rent in Brighton is high, and I have bills because running the Black Tri Tribe, we're not funded. We don't have any grants. We don't have any support financially from any organisation. So it's literally run on my income. And if I don't go to work, the Black Tri Tribe doesn't exist.
It's your labour.
Yes.
And I suppose in a way it's the opportunity cost, because you're doing something that you love and that you're so passionate about, and you're adding so much value to so many other people and their lives, and helping them to follow their dreams, and, to go after a triathlon, and providing all of that support. But part of me is also like, that's taking a huge toll on you.
Yeah.
And how long are you going to be able to maintain that? Like, have you thought about that?
Yeah, everyone keeps saying that to me, how long can you do this for? Like, you will burn out. I get that quite a lot from my committee in terms of, what's manageable, what's realistic. It's so interesting. My version of burnout is very different. I get burnt out by social interaction. I don't tend to get burnt out by the work. Yeah, I don't, that doesn't burn. Things that burn me out are like difficult conversations. Things that burn me out are like, I had someone that was helping us out with social media. They quit on me 2 days before the triathlon event, 3 days before the triathlon event. They just said that they couldn't manage anymore. That burnt me out. But the event itself, the admin, the running up and down, driving 2 hours a day to London and back, doing 40,000 miles a year in my car, that doesn't burn me out. But the bit that shouldn't be hard, the people bit, is the difficult bit.
You said something a while ago. You said you had a year where you went quiet. What happened in that year?
I was with another organization prior to this, and we sort of parted ways, and that's completely fine. What I did in that year is I took the time to figure out, if I was going to have an organization, what would I want it to look like? What would I want it to be like? How would I want to treat people? How would I want to talk to people? How would I spent a full year planning. I know it's going to sound really boring. In that year, I also did a lot of research. So I looked at a lot of ethnicity data. I looked at a lot of physical data, as in physical movement, health and well-being data for Black and brown people in the UK. I even went down to ward level data for a lot of these boroughs and looked at where people are the most inactive. I looked at what activities people are most likely to engage in and which activities people are not likely to engage in. I looked at data on why people don't engage. I also did a panel for an organization called Heal Rewilding. They're a really great charity. And for that, I did a lot of research as well, where I looked into why Black people don't go into the outdoors. And I looked at newspaper articles from 1950, 1960, 1970. I looked at Windrush data. I looked at what were particularly British Caribbeans, what were we doing in the Caribbean before we got to England, and what changed? Because before we got to England, and I say we as a British Caribbean or a British Jamaican, we had a great relationship with nature. And I think I discussed this in the previous podcast. I'm really lucky that I had a lot of time growing up in the Caribbean, because that was where I built my relationship with nature. I didn't have a lot of the UK traumas that people are born and are raised here have. And I looked at all of this data, which is quite boring. Yes, I am an introvert. Yes, I am a bit of a nerd. And it allowed me to become really, really informed. It gave me a lot of knowledge. What else did I do in that year? I got a lot of qualifications. I became a lifeguard. I got my swimming instructor. I became a swim teacher via Swim England. Thank you very much, Swim England. I became a navigation instructor. If you look at all my qualifications, they're all done in the same year. So that's what I spent the year doing.
I don't think that that's nerdy at all. I think that's amazing. Like, that to me, it's sort of like, the fact is you're taking the time out to really think about, like, and not just like surface level, but deeply, deeply think and consider and do that research, delve into that data to figure it out, to find out the answers about the type of organization that you want to be running and leading. But then also, I think qualifications are amazing. I think it's just such a great way to upskill and to add value to your own life. You know, you're challenging yourself to grow and develop, to learn new skills, to become a lifeguard, a swim teacher. Like, that's a phenomenal way to spend the year. When you decided to sort of end your quiet year, were you ready to sort of get back into the arena, I suppose? Like, you know, whether it's social media or, you know, creating events and actually, you know, having to put yourself out there, both in person by running these, you know, these panel discussions, but and running these events and sharing your story and your vision and to drive things forward.
Yeah, definitely. So you were actually one of the people that I spoke to you in the end of 2021. obviously the podcast got released in 2022, but that was during the year. And in that year, I spent time doing things like this podcast, getting people ready to see my face again. I wanted there to be a clear distinction between the organization I was with before and who I was then going to become as the Black Tribe. I wanted there to be a clear, what are our goals, missions, and our ambitions? What is it that we are trying to achieve? And how are we going to achieve that? What is the ethos? What is the culture going to be? And how are we going to go about these things? So for me, was I ready to go back into the public sphere in terms of social media, in terms of running events again? 100% yes. I think the thing that I didn't expect is I didn't expect it to be so difficult. The organization that I was with before, deals, offers, brands, you name it, just came out of the woodwork. Like even you just found me. Like I didn't have to work very hard to get those opportunities because it just came. It came. And I knew that when that separation happened, I would have to work that little bit harder. And that was fine. I expected it. That was exactly what I saw coming. I didn't think it would be this hard. I didn't think 2 and a bit years later, I would still be here, even though I've done the work, having to prove that we are worth some attention.
How do you maintain your motivation when things aren't going to plan? So whether that's with Black Tribe or whether that's when you're out doing a triathlon out there on the swim or the bike or on the run, and it's just not coming together. The plan isn't coming together, and sometimes I know that can be frustrating, annoying, all the words. How have you been handling that?
I am really lucky that I have a community that are so behind me. I am so lucky that I have built lasting relationships and genuine relationships, even credit to yourself, Sarah, such that I can go back to some of those people and say, hey, do you remember me from a couple of years ago? We met and and they've stuck with me. In the moments when things are not going to plan, that is when I remember those people. That is when I think, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I remember on the last episode of when I last did your podcast, I said to you that one of the biggest struggles that I've had is that I had a really old phone. I think I had an iPhone 4 at the time. I had a really big problem, and I was saving up for a GoPro, and I was telling you how long I was saving for a GoPro, and you were just like, well, I've got one sitting in my cupboard and it's just collecting dust. And you were like, oh, can I send it to you? And I don't think you know how much that meant to me. I use it to this day. That same GoPro with the same batteries, with the same camera that you sent me, nearly 2-3 years ago, I am still using to this day to record content. The content that you see on the Black Tribe Instagram, on my personal Instagram, is from your GoPro. People like you, people that have small acts of random kindness. Sometimes people think when I'm asking for grants or investors or even support that I want millions or thousands of pounds. Sometimes it's just someone saying, do you know what? I'll volunteer for you for the day. All the volunteers that came down and helped us out on the 1st of June this year, they were important to me. They kept me going. All the people that come to the swimming sessions, all the people that come to the walks, all the people that attend the panel discussions, if you're not really into the movement and physical activity, but actually you love being in communal spaces where you see lots of community and you're able to discuss things, that's where it's important. So yeah, that's how I keep going.
That is wonderful to hear, because actually sometimes it is just having other people believe in you. I think deep down, you do believe in yourself, and your idea is sound, and what you're doing is adding value, and where you want to take it, and you've got this amazing vision, and you're willing to put in all of the hard work. But sometimes it is just so hard. It is just so hard. And it's not like there is a finish line in sight. It's almost this.
And it's like you're still running and you're still running and you're still.
Yeah.
It's like, when When am I going to be let up? Like, please, can I get off the wheel for 2 minutes?
I don't want it to sound like cheesy, but it was just like, it will just get better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the more people you connect with, the more volunteers that you'll have, the more connections, the more people who'll be like, oh, actually, yeah, have you heard about this grant? Yeah, they're offering like £200, or actually this council offering, you know, X, Y, Z, or whatever it is. And then you will get more exposure. You'll get more people finishing. You'll have more people doing a triathlon, doing an event, getting coached by you. And then it's, you know, you'll make such a positive impact in their lives. And then it's that wave of positivity, because it's not going to affect them. It's going to affect their family, their friends, because their friends will be saying, oh gosh, you know, you're looking so happy and so healthy. What have you been up to? Oh, I've been swimming. I've been running. I joined the Black Tri Tribe. What's that? Oh, it's this, and this. Oh my gosh. I'd love to hear more about it. And I think the frustrating thing is it can just take time. Like, and there are occasionally, you know, when they're like, you know, a video goes viral or whatever, and something like that can really like give you like an amazing amount of exposure. But then it still comes back to the day to day, the consistency, the showing up, you know, making that commitment. First triathlon club for Black people in the UK, which is awesome. Now, are you in both Brighton and London? Like, where do you do like your meetups?
Yeah, so we're actually in Brighton, London, and Birmingham.
The expansion is happening already. I love it.
Yeah. So the first year was just Brighton. Second year was London. Third year we've added on Birmingham. So yeah.
I'd love for you to share, like, if it's possible, but just maybe like one of somebody who's joined the Black Tri Tribe, and that, you know, it's okay to share maybe a little bit more about their story and you know what you've done to sort of help them. Have you got any of those sort of?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about Sue. Sue, I'm going to send this to Sue when you publish it. Sue moved with her Black single mum from North London. She moved from North London to East Sussex. And I don't mean East Sussex like Brighton city centre. I mean East Sussex in a rural village. And she joined the Black Tri Tribe. I think she joined my walks first of all. She found my walks from London, and then she saw that I did walks in Sussex, and she thought, oh, wonderful, I'm moving to Sussex. I've just bought a house in Sussex. So she joined on our Seaford walk, and she said, this is just amazing. She was like, in London, there's so many Black people, but you know, we just don't gather like this. We're not communal like this. And then I put on the swimming sessions in Brighton, and she was one of the first people to sign up. And then we put out the 2024 triathlon. We put that out in September of 2023. And then I said, oh, look, like this thing is coming out. And she was like, no, Kelly, I must. And then Sue, last week on the 1st of June, did her first try. And now this is someone that went from not walking, not cycling, not swimming, to doing a full-blown BTT special triathlon. She represents the exact person that answered the survey. She is the exact person who the survey was supposed to represent. And she is the exact person that the Black Tri Tribe has been made for. Someone that thought, oh, you know, I've always loved the outdoors. I've always loved nature. I felt like I was always odd. I felt like, you know, I wanted to find a community where I could be included. I could be a part of the group. And here she is. So yeah, there's Sue. There's so many. So many. But yeah, Sue points out to me as one of the most important. And you know what's even more interesting? When Sue did her triathlon last week, she had all her neighbours. Her neighbours came, her family came from North London, they came from Kent. She had a full-on cheer squad. It was just amazing to see. And like they had banners, go Sue, go. And it was just, she just did brilliantly. She just did brilliantly. And she sings BTT's praises, but I think she also sings her own praises. I think one of the things that I love about Sue, and the reason why I think she's a perfect tough girl, is this wasn't someone that's super athletic. People think Tri and they think, oh, you know, someone that's, you know, everyone loves Beth Potter. Beth Potter's amazing, you know, GB winner, fantastic athlete. But, you know, Beth Potter's not attainable. She looks amazing. Her performance and endurance is on another level. But that's not a normal person. That is not attainable. That's not realistic. Whereas Sue, a mum that has moved to a new area and is trying to stay fit and is trying to keep healthy, that is someone that is inspiring to me. That is someone that is incredible to me. That is someone that is inspirational to me. So yeah, Sue is the definition for me. A great example of a community member.
What are your plans for the next sort of like 6 months? What would you like to see happening? What are the future goals that you're working towards?
So we've just expanded in Birmingham. We've got one venue in Birmingham for swimming. We actively tell people to attend Ebony Hikers Walks, Steppers Walks. They're great. We also really want to encourage for next year. We've got our triathlon on the 7th of June, 2025. Tickets are open now. And yeah, that is the goal, just to stay consistent and just remain visible, I suppose.
And is the triathlon 7th of June 2025, is that for Black people only, or can anybody join?
No. So we've my friend nearly killed me last year. I put him everywhere. He took part. For context, he's like a 6 foot tall white guy. And I put him on our poster and he was like, I don't think that's what you're going for. And I was like, if people don't see you, they're not going to believe that it's for everybody. So the events are for everyone, absolutely everyone, Black people, white people, children. So we had a 6-year-old take part this year. She turned 6 a couple months ago. So old, young, Black, white. We had also, we had deaf people take part this year. We also provide sign language. We also provide tandem support. So we had 2 blind people, one partially sighted and one fully blind, take part this year on a tandem basis. So yeah, we're trying to be as inclusive as humanly possible. All of our events have ramp access. So yeah.
Is this all of the information that came out of, the survey that you did?
Yes. So it wasn't just the minority that we reached out to. It was the minority within the minority. So you might think of, minority of participation in sport, you think women. But actually within that, you've got Black women. And then within that, you've got Black deaf women. Then you've got Black deaf queer women. So there are, or Black deaf queer disabled women. So there's so many minorities within the minority, and it's important for us to acknowledge and embrace all of those. So it's not just saying people of color or Black, it's getting everybody involved. In addition to that, I think it's really important to highlight our safe spaces in terms of our Black only or POC only spaces are the training activities all year round, because we use it as a holistic opportunity for people to get engaged. However, the event is more of like a celebration family fun day. We had face paint, we had massages going on. So it was more than just, I don't want people to think of it as, a traditional triathlon where you've got to be powering through it. Our annual event is about community. It's about spirit and it's about the tribe.
And actually, I think, I can't remember who said it, and it was definitely on one of my previous podcasts where somebody said, all the hard work is in the training sessions. It's getting up early to do the run, the walk, the swim, the cycle, to train when it's cold and it's windy, but actually the actual day of the event, that's easy. That's the celebration. This is the finish line for all of that hard work, and actually making it a celebration, getting your neighbors involved, having friends and family, having, children's races, getting your parents, your grandparents involved as well. It just sounds really fun. It really is. Yeah. That you probably saw is probably in the data as well. One of the big problems is, as people get older, and is more, loneliness and feeling isolated, and actually having something.
I wouldn't even say it's just loneliness, actually. I would say it's actually a cultural generational thing. I think we're more connected than we've ever been as a society, but I think people feel lonelier than we've ever been. This is the most connected and disconnected we've ever been. People live alone, people feel isolated, people if you think about the work culture now, and we had a nice brief period where we worked from home, but take someone like myself. I wake up at 6. I get to work for 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock if I'm running behind on time. I finish work at 5. That means I get home for 6. If God forbid I wanted to do something, at minimum, it starts at 6:30. Yeah. So now let's talk about if I want to do something. Let's say I go for a swim. I get home for 6. I might want to eat something. Let's not say I always do, but let's say I want to eat something. That's 7 o'clock. Get back out, 7:30, 9 o'clock, time for bed. We do it over again. Like, where's the time for community? Where's the time for friends? Where's the time for dating? Where's the time for, yeah.
I was gonna say, I can, when I'm home from like my challenges and stuff, I can sometimes go 2 weeks without speaking to anybody apart from my parents, because I, live at home. I pull my laptop up when I wake up. I start, again, the behind the scenes. No one sees you doing this, but I start editing at, 7 a.m. We'll edit straight through unless my eyes start rolling in the back of my head at around 1 o'clock. Then I'll have a power nap for like an hour and a half. Then I'll edit again. I'll have dinner, chat to the folks, head back upstairs, do a couple more hours of editing. And then when my brain just goes, then I'll probably put Netflix on, and I can't watch new shows. So I'll either watch like The Big Bang Theory, something I know, and scroll on my phone at the same time to relax a little bit. And then if I do start new shows, I'm watching K-dramas so that my attention span is longer, and it stops me going on my iPhone and going on social media, so that most connected, because I'm like, I feel like super connected online, like to so many awesome women, like the Tough Girl tribe, and just different people around the world, and whether it's WhatsApp messages or voice notes, etc. But then I don't see or speak to anybody for weeks unless it's my parents or my PT instructor, and I'm saying hello to people at the gym. But that's I get it. Kelly, how can people connect with you? How can they follow along with what you're doing, and also the incredible work that you're doing with Black Tri Tribe? Where should they go?
Yeah, so Instagram, Black Tri Tribe, Instagram, Black Tri Tribe, TikTok, Black Tri Tribe on Twitter, on X, on Facebook. We've got a website, blacktritribe.com. And yeah, please email us, blacktritribe@gmail.com, if you've got any questions or concerns, or like you're like, oh, this sounds cool. How do I get involved? How do I get a ticket? How do I come next year? And if you go to our Instagram page, you'll see like we always put up an annual event reel. So you at least can see like a flavor of what we're like, and everyone taking part. I think the first event that we did, we had roughly 50 people. The second event that we did, we had roughly 75, I would say. This year for Brighton, we just hit nearly 200 people in total. So yeah, it's been quite nice. We've done double year on year. So yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's such an incredible achievement. And Kelly, I'd love for you to have final words of advice and wisdom, I suppose, looking back over the past couple of years from what you've achieved, especially for other women, other Black women who want to step outside their comfort zone, take on a new challenge, whether it is taking on a triathlon, or whether it's starting up their own organization, building their own tribe, building their own community. What are the words of advice that maybe you would have liked to have heard when you were starting out doing this?
Try a thing. That is our slogan, which basically means just give it a go, have a go. Don't be afraid to look silly. Or for me, it was don't be afraid to be the last one. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. We can't be expected to know everything at the first time. When I first started doing like hiking as an adult, I started using like with groups. I was still using the stuff that I used for Duke of Edinburgh. And that was 15 years prior. So don't feel like you need to go out and get the most fancy gear. Don't think you need to go and get a whole new, if you want to go and get a whole new wardrobe, please do. Help yourself. But come as you are and just try a thing.
Try a thing. No, it's not try a thing. It's try a thing.
Yeah, go for it.
I love it. Try a thing. Kelly, thank you so much for coming back on. It's been amazing to catch up with you, to find out what you've been up to. Just incredible, the work, and it is work that you are doing with your community organisation, the Black Tri Tribe. Just incredible. And I can't wait to follow along as you continue to grow it and inspire more Black women to get out there and to try new things and to become a triathlete.
Thank you so much for having me back, Sarah.
Hey, tribe. I really hope you enjoyed the episode with Kelly Smith. What an absolute inspiration. And everything that we have talked about today will be available in the show notes at toughgirlchallenges.com. So please do go and check it out. So just a reminder, we first spoke with Kelly on February 24th, 2022. And this is Kelly in her own words. I'm passionate about the outdoors. It's a love that started from childhood adventure, grew into teenage curiosity, and now it's a form of adult stress relief. Fitness for leisure, health, and well-being is more important to me than the competition or the ability to perform well at any one thing. To be on the go is something I do for me. My former self trying to be better for my future self. Me versus me. So please do go and follow Kelly on her social media and check out Black Tri Tribe. And put the date in your diary for the 7th of June 2025 for the triathlon event. And it's something that you want to attend. Sign up for it. Get involved. Start training now. One of the things I mentioned on my previous episode was that I was taking a little visit up to the Lake District in Cumbria, where I was going to visit the Forge. So the Forge is Innovate's first ever brand store. It was opened in April 2021. The store is open 7 days a week. It sells Innovate branded run, hike and fitness kit. It is for both men and women. It's also the start location for several orienteering challenges around the local trails and fells. So go and check it out. You can follow Innovate Forge Store on Instagram at Innovate Forge Store, INOV8 FORGESTORE. So I was doing a couple of things when I was up there. It was one to go and check out some of the new gear, to go and see the store, but I was also renovating some of my old gear. So you probably know that my waterproof jackets they're the Storm Shell waterproof jackets that I wear. I have one in blue, one in pink, and I've been wearing them for the past couple of years. They have taken an absolute battering on my challenges, but I honestly, I know I shouldn't love gear as much as I love it, but it's going to sound really gross, but they've been ingrained with my sweat and I was about to say tears, but they have been such a big part of my life over the past couple of years. In all my photos, in all my videos, they've done such a phenomenal job of keeping me dry and protecting me from the wind. So it's actually really hard to actually give them away, even though they were, the insides were gone. They couldn't be sort of renovated anyway. They had to sort of go back into the recycling. So I did say goodbye to them, so I do have a new waterproof, which is the Storm Shell FZ V2 Women's. The weight of this waterproof jacket is 149 grams, and it ticks all the boxes in terms of you're doing any races and there's an equipment list and you've got to show people, yep, I've got a waterproof jacket. That is acceptable. It's won 2 awards. I'm just going to read you a little bit of the bump. So as good as the Storm Shell is at keeping water out, it's also brilliant at letting it out too. The jacket is highly breathable, allowing sweat to exit the shell to help you manage your body temperature during intense exercise. When needed, you can pull up the adjustable hood to protect your face and ears from driving wind and rain. The hood has a wire reinforced peak designed to keep the water out of your eyes and has enough space for you to wear a head torch underneath too. The Storm Shell is super lightweight and packs down small into its own pocket when not in use. Perfect for stashing in a race vest or waist pack. The jacket's pocket is also useful for storing valuables as you run. It's made with cutting edge materials and built specifically for the demands of long distance running in wet weather. The Storm Shell V2 is the dependable jacket to keep you protected in the wind and rain. And I 1,000% agree. It is a phenomenal piece of equipment. I absolutely love it. And the weight. What was the weight again? 149 grams, 2 awards. Definitely worth checking out if you are looking for a new waterproof jacket. You can use the discount code ToughGirl15, ToughGirl15 to get 15% off your orders. You can visit the Innovate website, innovate.com, to find out more information about all of their gear, from their running, their gym, their walking, their hiking. There's so many trail shoes, fell running shoes, road running shoes, all-terrain running shoes, ultra running shoes, the running clothes, the gym shoes, the hiking gear as well, and all of the walking clothes from mid layers, base layers, jackets, etc. If you're interested in any of the gear that I work. If you're interested in any of the gear that I wear specifically, then please come and follow me on Instagram at Tough Girl Challenges, and you'll be able to see what I'm wearing because I wear it on all of my challenges adventures. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. New episodes are coming out this month every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. UK time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All that's left for me to say is, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, give it your all, give it 110%, get after it, go for it, believe in yourself, because I believe in you. Take care, lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.